Now, I promised a flip through of this when we did our journaling video, and then maybe take a peek in the other things I've got. I can share with you 3 journals that I've got new for 2023 and my plans for those as well. This is why I always say, you know, journaling to heal the soul, art to heal the soul, words to heal the soul, and the way it all interweaves together for me in layers of paper and glue and paint and tissue paper and writing and thoughts and poetry and quotes, and the way it all kind of comes together. Our journal is our story, and we can write and rewrite our story at any one point. I think the heating's gone up and I've got really cold hands. These really old gloves on, which I really love, but they're kind of falling apart a bit. But anyway, so it's really nice to see you again. Thanks for coming to keep me company. I thought I would show you my journals today in this video because I've got quite a few going on for different things. Art heals the soul, writing and words heal the soul, and it's all packaged up in a really neat parcel of the journal. For me, anyway, and maybe for some of you, it's not just one journal. So I thought I would show you all my journals that I'm currently using and a few on my horizon, because I've got some new ones here that I haven't started yet, but I just thought I'll share those with you as well, because I just love new stationery, paper and books and stuff. I suppose I've not really been up to too much because I've got a poorly back, and I think I mentioned that in the last video, so I'm not going to go on about that or anything, because, you know, we all get these things from time to time and they're really, really annoying, and it seems to me that I never learn my lesson, that I completely take my health for granted until something goes wrong. And so, yeah, you'll have to let me know if you're the same. Suffice to say, this week I've been journaling and dancing a little bit, just enough to keep my hip moving. When things go wrong as well, journaling helps, and the other thing that really helps me is getting back into gratitude. I think it's the fastest game changer from getting out of feeling down or challenged, or when things get bumpy. When we have those moments where the sea gets really stormy, I know you know what I mean. And so jumping back into gratitude, one of the fastest, if not the fastest way to get back into a really healthy mental state, pulls you back to yourself. And that's what I've been doing, because we can always find things to be grateful for. And speaking for myself on a personal level, I've got so much to be grateful for. One of the things this week sounds really silly, but just to have this room, because this space, this studio, my happy place, has been an absolute godsend this week. It's my quiet space. Well, usually it's my quiet space, but I've been blasting out a bit of crazy music, boogieing with limited movement, because I can't move as well as I usually can. Anyway, as I very frequently say in here, I truly believe in the life-changing healing power of journaling. So let's take a look at what's going on, shall we? Oh, and there's no New Year's resolutions in any of this. They've been banned. I'm not having them. I'm not hitting the ground running, no. But if you like them, then I'm not dissing them for you. It's just that they don't work for me. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
through. Now I promised a flip through of this when we did our journaling video a few weeks ago now, so I thought we could do a flip of that and then maybe take a peek in the other things I've got, and I can share with you 3 journals that I've got new for 2023 and my plans for those as well. So let me show you what I've done on the cover first of all of this one. Basically I'm using my gold. I've Wendified it basically, the way I often do with my paintings, especially my canvas squares, so I've kind of treated it like that. And I'm also playing around with some handwritten typography as well, which I'm really enjoying at the moment. I can show you as well where the idea came from all this. I was basically playing around. I was doing a market a few years ago and I wanted to have a painted sign, but I didn't have enough time to hand paint one. So I adhered one of my prints onto a canvas, and then I stenciled all around. So I've got gold and all sorts of bits and bobs and bits of stars and things like that. And then I started making little canvas squares of some of my prints and doing the stenciling. I haven't painted this one gold yet, so it's one that I've had sort of in process behind the scenes, if you like. I used to make quite a lot of these. And then I took it onto, some more experimental type canvases as well. So yeah, lots of gold stenciling on this one in the layers. I don't know if you can kind of see. Lots of different coloured stenciling as well in that one. I do love my stencils and just playing with them and experimenting. The gold as well. So yeah, just kind of Wendifying things onto the journal cover. And it's also nice to have something that's quite effective but really, really quick. When I'm doing this, especially on something like a journal cover, I kind of like being a little bit messy with it and smudgy. I don't really mind, but if you want to do yours a bit neater, you could do that on there. But yeah, that's where that's come from. And I've also got this sort of larger painting. I don't know if I can actually show you, but you can see here I've got my gold stenciling as part of my paintings as well. So I like the words, obviously the painting. Yeah, I need to get this painting finished actually. She needs resolving. But anyway, for another day. I think it's nice to see, isn't it, the history of where artists develop their ideas from, where all this golden stuff has come from. Yes. And I guess the gold originally is from, yes, a rather famous artist that we all know and love. Yes, so that has influenced me along the way for sure. So just looking at this one as well, I think I'm going to have to varnish, go over the letters a little bit more and varnish because it's rubbed off already. So I might paint these with acrylics and then varnish just for a bit of longevity, because it is a cover, so I want it to stay on. I have things fall off my covers all the time though, so I'm kind of used to it. Anyway, let's move on to the flip through then. So this was my handmade journal, and I'll link the video up there somewhere in case you haven't seen it yet and you want to make your own journal. It's really, really easy, and also I've used a lot of found items, just things in my collage box and stuff. So it was really inexpensive to make, which right now is a really good thing because everything's really expensive, as you know. So I'll show you the cover of this to start with. Let's just move this one a little bit out of the way. So the cover didn't start off like this, and I've made the cover as well out of some cardstock type stuff. So again, that process is all in the video. The painted process, and a lot of these painted pages, I'll say it up front, a lot of these are actually in my Patreon, and one of the videos in there shows the process of doing the cover. And then this key here was it was a found item in a house that James and I bought years and years ago. So this is the house that we let go of. We sold it when we moved into a van. 10 years or so ago now. And I kept that key because I kind of thought it was a key to my new home. And I haven't found it yet. I haven't found my new home yet. So it still felt really appropriate that I had that key. And I always like to have bells and things as well. And then lots of glitter, of course. Shiny Light Bright and My Happy Place, a couple of things that I say all the time, resonate so strongly with me. So I think it's nice to have things on the cover that really feel like uplifting, powerful, motivating. It's nice to have some important words. I call them my important words because, as I say on here, words heal the soul, and this journal is going to be a lot of words. So I'm going to practice my typography in here, and I'm going to write my fairy poems and little stories. This journal's got a completely different purpose to this journal, and I really like that, having journals for different purposes. And I've said before, yes, it would be really, really nice to have one journal to rule them all, as it were. but that isn't going to happen to me. So anyway, this is my kind of arty journal, if you like. So that's the front cover with lots of ribbons and paint and glitter and all sorts of stuff. Now let's start at the beginning then. So I've got some stuff that keeps falling out of the pocket here. Quotes at the front. I really like to have quotes, and I'm all about shining your light bright. So a nice shine your light quote in the front by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. Struggling souls catch light from other souls who are fully lit and are willing to show it. So for me it was a little bit like shine your light bright, but shine out there, if you like, if that makes sense, because I like to cocoon and I like to hibernate. So it was a little bit of an encouragement to come out of my shell a little bit. And you kind of have to do that when you put yourself on YouTube, if you like. What's this? This is a little poem that one of the fairies wrote when I was in trouble. Help, said Wendy, I don't know where to turn. I'm feeling rather worried and have a deep concern. I could spiral into fears of things out of my control. I need a moment to ground and connect back to my soul. Someone's not too decent, the fairy said to me. They want more money, that's clear, the priority. But don't worry, little one, the universe has your back. It is behind the scenes conspiring to show an unexpected track. Yeah, I'll have to work out what I'm going to do with all my words, because I'm putting a few things together. I've got some journaling prompts in there as well, which are always handy to have. And then I think this is another one of these actually. This one is another time I got myself into trouble. I was painting a fairy, which inspired me to, you know, write another poem. So the very first video on here is me reading out a poem as well, and sort of doing like a vocal practice, if you like. I hadn't written much really for quite a few years, and then all of a sudden I had all these downloads of these poems coming out as I was making and painting these fairies. Anyway, help, said Wendy. I don't know where to turn. I feel confused and like I have a lot to learn. My mind has been befuddled. My head is in a spin. I've made a few mistakes and need to take them on the chin. A trickster is in town, the fairy said to me. Caught you off your guard and now you need to flee. But don't worry, little one, you called me just in time. Just ground and take your power back and all will work out fine. So yeah, messages from the Fae in this part. And then yeah, a little bit of journaling and painting and layering. I've got a little tuck spot here, and I haven't found something to put in there yet, but something will be going in there. And then this was some pages I worked on in the art journaling video that I put up a few weeks ago, so you might have seen that, and if not you can go there and think this one as well. This was a painted face I did a series of painted faces, again in the Patreon for the processes of all those, and it was specifically to make journal treasure or journal fodder, as it were. And so that's where she's come from, and then I've slotted her in to an appropriate point in the journal. So yeah, lots of places to write as well. And I found with this journal, I kind of did the arty bits and left the pages blank for a little while until the right thing kind of came up for me, if you like. So we've got hope and grace. That, again, themes that came up for me in the vision board process that I put up in the last video. I love sticking quotes in, and I know I'm not the only one that does that in here, because I know you all love your quotes. You often write in the comments some lovely quotes, and do feel free to share quotes as well, because I love them. I love reading them. I love it that we like to collect our quotes. They're very inspiring, aren't they? And again, you know, words have power. Words are magic. So I did a little bit about my word for the year. And yeah, I've had a spiral of worry, so I tend to write things down in here. This is kind of my more personal writing journal, so I probably won't show you in this one so much, but yeah, in here I tend to put things that maybe it's not as obvious what I'm talking about, but I know what I mean, if you like. And then I didn't have anything for here, but this little book fitted so well. But yeah, the wishing fairy, I forgot how to shine, an unexpected gypsy tale. And that's when I came up with my little quote, which I'm loving as well at the moment. Shine when you can, cocoon when you need. Yeah, it was about just taking a little step really, and keeping going anyway, asking for help. And yeah, again, the whole process of making this book is, I don't want to keep saying it, but it is on the Patreon for those that are interested. So there you go, pop that back in there. Some writing, gratitude pages in here, and I've still to do my top 10 of 2022, so I need to do that. I've got a little space in here actually to do that. A few little spaces left to write as well. I like to have things in layers so that things are hiding and peeking out from other places as well. I've got a little tuck spot there, so I could also add something in there as well. So this is my space that I am going to be doing my gratitudes of 2022, my top 10. This was from a poem I wrote here as well, and then under here, secret messages. And one day she discovered she was fierce and strong and full of fire, and that not even she could hold herself back because her passion burned brighter than her fears. So again, we're going back to the shining of the light. So what I got in here, some treasured things, and a little tag I made, and a little character that I found in my collage box. So she's like an old friend. I made her a long time ago. So it's nice to have little pockets with flaps and bits and bobs, isn't it? There is a video as well where I made all these little extra things and sewed them. So there's lots of little bits and bobs that are actually sewn in. I don't know if we've skipped past any or if they're the first ones. I think they're the first ones. But there's a whole episode on sewing and how I made all that. This is the letting go fairy, so I did some journaling around it, surrendering, comfortable with the mystery, you know, getting curious about things. I did quite a lot of journaling. And sometimes it's nice to handwrite things, but I think I've mentioned before in here that I do love to type things out, and I type quite quickly, so it's easier and quicker for me to get my thoughts out sometimes. And then I can print them off and cut them out, so it's just a case of, you know, getting the width right for your journal, and then you can go to town and stick bits and bobs in. Sacred quest, one of my favourite words at the moment. I love being on quests for this, that and the other. This is again some more pages to do with the letting go fairy, and quite like doing, so you've got, you know, the light background and it's very light and airy, completely different feel to this. Just grabbing these again. So I've already shown you the canvas squares I was working on here. This one's still in process. So I was working on the dark backgrounds. So again, this is something I love to do, playing around with really dark backgrounds, and then, yeah, all my layers on the top. So that kind of fitted in with this process as well. And again, you know, I've got the poem from the fairy. She helped me work it all out. And my favourite affirmation, which I've used for years, and I don't know if I've shared that on the YouTube. I've certainly shared it in the Patreon, but the I am calm, I am safe, I am loved, which is also interwoven into the layers of here as well. Some of it you can't read, but it's all in there. It's all meaningful for me, if you like. It's all underneath all the layering process. Yeah, I'm feeling bad for being human, so we have those times, unfortunately, don't we? We ebb and we flow, and we have our bumps in the road. This was all about radical self-acceptance, and so this was a Degas sculpture I added in here that was inspiring me at the time. Another one of my painted faces, journaling all around, and then shine when you can, cocoon when you need, again keeps popping up. If something keeps popping up regularly, then I know it's important and I know I'm supposed to take note. And so I tend to do some work with it. The self-love teacups. So if you've been around here a little while, you might have heard me say, make sure you keep your cups full. And this is my page about it. So I made some little teacups. I think I was feeling that my teacups were quite empty at the time. So I did some journaling around it. And I kind of realised I had quite a few teacups to fill. It wasn't just one, but it was fun, really fun pages. A little bit of journaling around it as well. And another little quote here as well. Growth in awareness has always been painful, but it does lead to great independence and eventually cooperation in action. Anne Lindbergh from Gift from the Sea. Nice little book that someone recommended I got, and I got hold of it, and it's a lovely little book. This is Earth Fairy, and this page is actually made from a postcard, and the whole process of this one is actually on the YouTube, so I'll link that somewhere up there if you haven't seen that one and fancy doing some fairy pages. And I kind of did it around my Secrets of a Fairy poem, and I included my favourite part of the poem as well. I ground in trees and bury deep my tiny little fairy feet in our sacred Mother Earth, and she never leaves my side, and she never leaves my side, and because of this I am unstoppable for all of time complete. This was a manifesting page and setting intentions, I think, for the new year, last year, and put some intentions in here which are hiding in the pockets. I'm not going to get some of those out. And then I've also made an addition of late: grace, bringing brightest blessings and endless possibilities. So I was wanting that, and I was wanting that, and I also made a card with that. So I definitely got that because I'm in here right now, and that whole process of moving in and getting excited and settling in and setting up the space is all on here, so you might have seen that. This hasn't happened yet, so this is going to be carried through for next year, and I've still got half this journal to fill, so you'll see in a minute. And these pages were all about feeling really raw, so that's where the bear has come from, and the cuddle. And yeah, this bear girl here, it's okay to slow the ride, life takes courage, and I'm just a human having a difficult day, a really difficult day. Yeah, I just can't do any more today. So it was all about just, you know, sitting on Mama Bear's lap and allowing yourself to be cocooned and cushioned and nurtured. A little bit about self-parenting in here, so you know, when you're an adult and having to parent yourself in those kind of days. That was fun. And the self-love tree of great intention, and this is based on a Klimt painting, a Klimt tree, so you'll probably recognize the style. It's very Klimty. And then I was thinking about all the branches of self-love, and so we made a self-love tree of great intention, and I put some of my dreams that actually came true are in here, and again, you know, secrets in my secret envelope, so I'm not going to take that out and show you, but I'm just showing you that it's there. Yeah, some journaling around all that, so all the different branches. So I was struggling with various things, and I made some foundation roots which were physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, soul searching and consistency. And then it also wanted strength, surrender and letting go. The leaves were all about celebration, so that was, you know, sort of very symbolist in there as well, so that was fun. And then I did a painted version of a tree as well, and some little birdies in the tree as well. Everything was symbolic for something: the roots, the trunk, the branches, the birds and the leaves. Everything was, you know, had a meaning behind it and a reason for it being there. So, and then yes, some wishes in here, so again, secret little pocket. And I'm sorry I can't show you, you know, what's in all the little pockets, but I'll show you the ones I can, I promise. Okay, am I a fairy in disguise? So I kept having the dragonfly messenger coming up, and I've got this lovely set, Spirit Animal Oracle from Colette Baron Reid. I love this book and the cards as well. So I dedicated some pages to my spirit animal, current spirit animal, because I have different ones from time to time. And then, yeah, a little bit of journaling around that as well, and decorated it in my usual way. You can see we've got gold stenciling and some glitter in there as well. It's very sparkly, so I don't know if the camera's going to be picking that up, but and this paper here is lovely paper. It's actually the caddy paper, so it's got this lovely torn edge, which I love, and it's gorgeous to work on. This was a watercolour paper that was sent to me by one of my Patreons, and again, this lovely torn edge. It would be nice to make a journal just with these two different papers, I was thinking, maybe for another one, because it's quite nice quality paper for journaling and to work on. This is kind of watercolour paper, and it's quite absorbent. And then the same with this one. This is actually really thick paper, so maybe watch this space for another handmade one. Whenever getting to the end of this one, I might do one with different papers. And because I'm not sure, I have to say, in a review of this journal, I'm not 100% sure on all the choice of papers that I used. The craft paper was actually okay, but some of the thinner paper, this stuff was not so good, and I've kind of reinforced it with, you know, different things as well, just different layering and stuff. But I wasn't 100% sure of all the different papers in here. Some of it was a bit flimsy for me. Yeah, but you work with what you've got, don't you? So on here, just some continued journaling. Again, I've done it on my computer, typed it out. Secret notes in here as well. So this is actually the last entry to this journal, the last pages that I made, and it's all about surrender and letting go. A couple of really fun quotes as well. I used to be young and beautiful, now I'm just beautiful. Unknown quote. And yeah, my discombobulated heads, I am calm, I'm safe, I'm loved. So again, you've got a repeating affirmation coming up. Symbolism of the butterflies as well, transformation. Coming from one end of the scale, if you think about an emotional spectrum, coming from one end of the scale to the next and moving back into calm, safety and love. And that is a game changer when we're feeling anxious, stressed. And this is why I always say, journaling to heal the soul, art to heal the soul, words to heal the soul. And the way it all interweaves together for me in layers of paper and glue and paint and tissue paper and writing and thoughts and poetry and quotes, and the way it all kind of comes together. Our journal is our story, and we can write and rewrite our story at any one point. We are the leading character in our own lives, in our own journal, and so we have the power to co-create it. And yes, there's certain things we cannot change. It's about accepting the things we cannot change, isn't it? So there's a quote in there as well. How does that one go? It's accepting the things that we cannot change, changing the things that we can, and then having the wisdom to know the difference. I haven't got that exactly word for word, but I think you'll know the one I mean. And yeah, I just got some little bits and bobs ready to include, but you can see here, it's quite interesting in a way to see the paper, because I made these two signatures exactly the same and then I stitched them in. So this is a separate one, but they're both exactly the same. So I've got flimsy paper on some of these. You can see what I'm talking about. This is really flimsy paper as well. Quite fun, the music paper, but flimsy. And then I've got a nice watercolour mixed media paper, flimsy, didn't enjoy this one. Not too bad on the craft paper, loved the caddy. Quite like this one because it's a lovely pattern and also it's quite thick. That was, I think that was an old poster. And then again, flimsy. So stick those two together, which then covers up the evidence of where I've tied the signature in. And then the other side, the same obviously, but in reverse of what I just showed you. And so yeah, some of that paper really, if I'm really honest, I think that I would have preferred thicker paper for my journal. But each to our own, and so bear that in mind if you're going to make your own journal. So I've just got a couple of things ready to stick in. Thank you to the trees. I love to say thank you to the trees and parts of nature that I visit that I love. And I think the trees can pick up the energy of that as well. When you're walking through the forest, I always like to say, well, thank you to the things that are bringing me joy. And then my happy place. So again, that's actually my old studio. So maybe I need to update that for this one. And that was from the fairies. We've covered that one. A couple of journaling prompts about my superpower and a quote that I love, which I wanted to include into this part of the journal. And it's from a film called Vanilla Sky. I can't remember the director, but it's a Tom Cruise and Penelope Cruz and Cameron Diaz film. Every passing minute is a chance to turn it all around. And I love that because you can get stuck and wallow into this kind of doom and gloom situation when life is really bumpy and you're really challenged and you kind of spiral down into that horrible depths of depression. Just to remember that every passing minute is a chance to turn it all around. And it's true. It takes effort and energy, and we can't always do it in the moment. And I think it's important to cocoon and wallow during those times, but when we're ready we can turn it all around. And so that's a little reminder of that one. And then I've got some journaling prompts, self-forgiveness, body, worries and fears, and perfect day. And then the quote from Frida Kahlo, which I mentioned a little while ago. You can pause the screen if you wanted to see that. And that's it in here. So the other thing I wanted to do in this journal is make a pocket for the back, so that will come as well. That is my creative art journal. So we've got a place for writing, a place for creative journaling. It doesn't have to be art. It can be just a place for creativity, scrapbooking, sticking stuff in, and however you want it to be. So sometimes I'm not sure I like the phrase art journal in a way, because it kind of has the connotation that you have to be an artist to have one, and it's not true, you don't. So moving on then to, that's my sketchbook, and I'm not going to do a tour of this sketchbook today because this video is probably long enough for a start, and also this sketchbook is not ready. It's not ready to be shared yet. So I can show you my birds that I've been working on this week. I haven't done my my starling yet, but I've got my rook and I've got my jackdaw, and yeah, that's what I've been working on this week. But this book is my sketchbook, so where that's more of a journal for my thoughts and my emotions and processing and that kind of thing in a creative way, this one is much more of a sketchbook. So this one is to accompany my art journey, if you like. That's what this one's for. And I do make some notes in here as well, but it's more arty than personal. This is more personal, this is more, yes. I hope this is making sense, because yeah, there's quite a few, isn't there? Now, I've got now some books that, let's just move those out of the way a little bit. I've got some books that this one I've started, which is an altered book, which I thought I would use this year, so I want to jump back into this one, so that's why I'm including it in this video. And then this one is, I've already talked to you about this one. This is where I do a lot of my writing, and I can show you a couple of pages in here. So yeah, there's a lot of writing in here. I like to process, but it's not really a journal that I share, but it's a place for me to have handwritten journaling, which I really like. And then once that one's full, this one my mum bought me, and it's a Peter Pauper press, and I got sent a lovely gift last year, and I got sent the Moleskine journal. I forgot to mention what that was actually. It's a Moleskine sketchbook. This one and this one was sent to me in the post last year as a beautiful gift. I'm so grateful, absolutely lovely present. And so it's also a Peter Pauper press, but obviously a different design on the cover. So once that one's full, I've got this one to move into next, and I really love it. So I've had this journal for, I would say, almost a year. So it's been on my shelf, and it was literally wrapped up in plastic, and I unwrapped it yesterday to get to have it ready. But yeah, can't wait to have that one. So there's these two for my writing, which I'm really excited about. So this one is a book that I'm in the process of altering, and yeah, I've got my usual black going on. Some pages I did ages ago, right at the beginning of lockdown, when I very first set up the Patreon. And there is some elements of journaling and experimenting in here. There's not really much else in here. This was all about the canary, again, you know, from my spirit animal deck, and it was all about singing your own song. I was basically going through some situations, and I'll say situations, but it was quite early on in my YouTube journey, and so as my audience was growing, I was having situations where people were duplicating a lot of my work. And I'm not just talking about, you know, having a compliment of being inspiring someone else. It was literally people copying every little thing I did really closely, really kind of, it felt really uncomfortable and almost stalkerish, if you like. And so this was interesting because when I just grab it actually, hang on a sec. I pulled, this morning I was going to do some journaling, and I pulled the canary spirit, and it was all about sing your own song. So you can see it on here, and that's where this little canary came from. And then I did some journaling around it and then glued stuff over it. So it's all still there, and I know it's there, but it was kind of just processing all that. And it's funny in a way coming back to these pages and having a look and talking to you today, because it's come up again, and there's two instances of this going on right now, basically copying everything that I'm doing. I haven't really looked into it yet, and I probably won't nowadays, to be honest. I'll just say to anybody that's watching and is heavily influenced by someone else, go out and sing your own song. It's much more rewarding, it's much more authentic, and it has the real treasure as well. You know, if I was to draw a line here and I said, you know, maybe this paintbrush is a line, and I said at this end we've got the lovely situation of inspiring, you know, somebody, it gets inspired by somebody, and that's a really lovely place. And then at the other end you've got the polar opposite. That's where it becomes stealing, I think. You know, there's an element of being inspired and stealing, and there's that book, isn't there, Steal Like an Artist, and I'm completely there. I've done a whole video on this actually, and it was a really difficult video to make, but it's something that we need to talk about because the internet is rife with it at the moment, and it's not okay. And I don't really want to go down the whole conversation of the copyright route today because it's just, you know, this little thing in my journal, but at the end of the day there is this end and then there is this end, and this is what I'm talking about. So yeah, and I know it happens a lot because of the internet, so there's not a lot we can do, but sometimes you need to journal about this stuff because it gets it out. So I'm going to be continuing with my altered book. I kind of went off on a bit of a tangent then, sorry about that. And then the last two books to show you are both empty. This one's the decomposition book, and this one is the parsley cover, and it's the ones that are kind of cardboardy covers, and then they have these lovely illustrations. And I love using an exercise book because you're not precious about the paper, and it's great for writing. And then sometimes I stick art paper, or I'll do like a layer of white gesso, and then you can actually get rid of the lines and you've got a plain background to work on. I love working in those. And then I've got another composition book, with this one is from Paper Chase, and this one is full of craft paper. And this reminds me of being a child and having a scrapbook and that kind of situation. So yeah, they've all got different purposes. So I hope I have explained that clearly enough, and you can see why I've, you know, maybe got so many on the go at once. And I will do a tour of that, but don't expect it any time soon. But we're not there yet. We're not quite ready. So thank you so much for watching and keeping me company. Try to keep your light shining bright, and I'll see you really soon in the next one. Bye for now.